This is the Steve Shriver Podcast, the show where entrepreneur, adventurer, and community activist Steve Shriver shares what he's learned on his journey so you can make it in business and make it good. The big topic for this episode:
business partners, assets or assholes? Sometimes both. And guess what? There's money involved, and there's the livelihoods of your individual lives are involved. So this gets real heavy real fast.
We'll be right back. The Steve Shriver Show is brought to you by Ecolips, the original organic lip balm. Use the promo code podcast20 for 20% off your first order on ecolips.com. Ecolips, all natural organic lip balm. Deeply connected with nature, applying beneficial organic ingredients to better people's lives. A proud certified B Corp, founded in 2003. Ecolips, spread the good. And spread the promo code podcast20 into that promo code box. It's good for 20% off your first order on ecolips.com.
Hey everybody, Steve Shriver here, and you are listening to the Steve Shriver Podcast. I am Steve Shriver, and I'm with our producer and good friend of mine, Joe Coffee.
Hey.
And I'm having a lot of coffee because it's that kind of day. So at Coffee Studio. So thanks for hosting this too here, Joe.
Yep.
And so we're here for entrepreneurship. So I have 5 businesses, 5 different industries. I've bought businesses, sold businesses, absentee ownership of businesses, failed in business. And I practice business every single day. It is my life. And this podcast is here to share that with you, to share successes, failures, real life stuff. This is the gospel of entrepreneurship right here happening. And this is so entrepreneurial that we don't even have a topic decided yet. And we're going to pull it out of the hat.
Literally.
Yeah, like literally out of one of Joe's fedoras. He's got a nice collection of fedoras.
When you lose your hair, you start wearing fedoras. It's a rule.
And so today's topic is going to come out of this hat. And I get the jitters, man. I got the entrepreneurial jitters. We're gonna go with this one because some of these are heavier than others. You know, it's like okay, yeah, let's meet with bankers and talk about that. And some we might have to dig deep. Yep. So let's see what we got. This is all right. This is a good one. It's a good one. Business partners, assets or assholes? Sometimes both. So
partners. So this could mean this is like colleagues, it's investors, it's board, it's they're stop signs and green lights too, right?
Yep. So I'm going to say that when I wrote that down on there and put it in the hat, it's more specifically addressing, because a lot of questions I get about, should I have a business partner or not? What are the pros and cons of having partners and that kind of stuff? So I think high level, the majority of that topic is literally about people that own equity in the business alongside of you. Okay. And then we can kind of unpack it further after that. So
they have skin in the game, right?
Skin in the game. And so I think, okay, the reason I wrote it like that is so I could remember it. Investors, business partners, assets or assholes. So the high level, a business partner is there to help you succeed. They should be there to help you create the infrastructure in the business and a partnership that will be sustainable and be profitable for everybody involved. And so business partners are assets in many different ways. And one of it could be the workload that they help carry along with you. They're assets by mitigating the risk, the financial risk, and some of the stress alongside the business. They're assets in the way that they themselves are a different entity and have hopefully a different expertise, or they're bringing something different to the table. And so there's so many reasons why business partners are great. But the reality is that you will not get along at some point. You're going to disagree. And it could be to the point where, so when you're writing your business plan and you're working on your partnerships, it's like, it's very easy. And I'm super optimistic. It's very easy to say, like, yeah, we're going to do X amount of sales and we're doing this. We're going to all be doing this and everything's going to be bright and shiny and everything. The reality is that the business could fold because your partnership fails. The business might be going great, but you as a partner, you are contractually engaged with this person at a level as much as your marriage. You might even see this person or talk to them more than you talk to your spouse or your family. And guess what? There's money involved, and there's the livelihoods of your individual lives are involved. So this gets real heavy real fast.
It makes me think about organizational structures, right? Like you're a musician, we play in bands, and we've been in bands where for some reason everybody thinks something has to be unanimous before we do the gig, right? And then there are bands to where people kind of understand there's going to be push and pull. We're going to totally disagree, and I'm going to go along with it. And then next time you go along with me. Marriages, there are different ways decisions get worked out. What are your thoughts on like organizational structures and what's ideal when it comes to partners?
I would say that, most people are starting LLCs these days, when you're from your formal entity. And I think that spelling out as much of the expectation of the owner group as much as you can in the beginning, and even run through some scenarios and spend extra time really. And this is where I'm like, I don't spend a lot of time on, I don't try to way overanalyze everything, like to get paralysis by analysis. But in this particular thing, if I'm going to go on this journey with this person, it's like, I don't want to, if I'm doing a mountaineering trip and I'm pulling a team together, I know there's some great climbers out there that are just assholes. I don't want them on my team. They might help me get to the summit, but I'm not going to enjoy my way to the summit. So you don't make the cut to be a part of my team. And I think that you just got to make sure that you're getting married to this person for a while.
So say you have a partner and maybe in hindsight you realize, this is not the best partner or whatever, but have you ever found yourself saying things along the lines of, you got to trust me on this. Just let go, watch me, you'll see, trust. Have you ever said anything like that to a partner?
Yeah. I mean, I think yes. So I would normally I would earn that trust in a different way. And if I'm to that point where I got to say like, hey man, come on, dude, trust me on this, then I don't think I've done a good enough job, or we are that distant from each other that we're just not connecting on that. But yeah, so, I mean, let me think about this. I have had business partners that I have had to buy out, and it was very contentious. And I've said, this just straight up sat down and this is not working. And one of us has to go, and it ain't going to be me because I'm running this shit. And so but I can't have you as a business partner anymore. How can let's get out of this. Wow. I've had some, let's see here. Yeah. I mean, that's typically, it's got to sway. I mean, there's money involved, and you could, then you just like, how do you buy them out? How's that going to look? I typically, if I have a falling out with a business partner, I don't necessarily want them to continue owning equity in what I have, and I don't necessarily want to own, if I'm the one leaving the venture, I don't want to maintain equity because just there could be bad blood. So I think what you got to do is like just plan on the worst and hope for the best. So that could mean don't have a business partner. Like do it yourself. Now, the problem with that is that your partner might bring capital to the table. They might bring some expertise. And what I really like about business partners is that they might, if we fail, then I'm only responsible for 50 or 25% of that money, right? So I think starting out, it's like, okay, can I even function with a business partner? In the old days, I would say I didn't really think I could. And I now have worked into an understanding and proven it to myself and others that I can function that way. Because it used to be very just like, we're going to do it this way, my way, and so I think you got to figure out, okay, can I function as a business with business partners? There's also the idea that you could have silent partners and you're going to have active partners. Now, there aren't really that many people that will be silent if they say they're going to be silent, and you almost want to get it in writing. I had this guy, he wanted to invest, and he invested and a nice chunk of money, and he ended up saying, "All right, now that I'm in, I'm gonna fly out every 3 months. We can meet about things, and I'll help you provide some direction and blah blah blah." And I'm like, whoa, before you wrote the check and before I cashed the check, remember the conversation, and I've got emails to show it, that you were going to be silent, and now you're saying you want to be active. Like this is not what we agreed upon. Okay, so then I got him calmed down. All right, cool. It's going to be silent. Well, it just didn't work that way. He was, poking and prodding and stuff. So even with, that's what I'm saying. Like we had this, what we thought was this great, almost angel investment. And it's like, cool. All right. We got funding for the next phase. And, they didn't want to be silent. And then, so can you have partners? What kind of partners do you want? And then it comes down to, what are they going to do? And even when you outline it, like if we have an org chart or we put it in the docs, and we're going to say, here's what my role is. Here's your role. We're going to do that. You're going to do that. It is very likely that one of you will end up working harder than the other. And it is really hard if you are either not getting paid or getting paid the same amount of money, to be sympathetic to somebody that's not pulling their weight as much as you are. And so all these things play into it. And I don't think I've ever seen a partnership that didn't have some sort of emotional strain based on that right there. Like somebody's doing most of the work and somebody's not, but we're all equal owners. And why,
You mentioned clear understanding up front, and you mentioned roles and responsibilities, just having everything defined. Is it possible to think through every possible scenario and put all the names and say, roles and responsibilities, like, does the work, consulted, sign off, all the various iterations, and just say, here's the gospel, everybody follow this. And if we need to change from sign off to just consulted, in the know, or in charge of, is it possible to draw that out and then you're smooth sailing?
I think you can get 80% of the way there. I think you can get 80% of the way there, but you will never know every circumstance. It's like catching a wave. If you've ever surfed, and you can be like, all right, I'm gonna get up and I'm gonna ride the wave from A to Z. But how you ride it, what the wave does to you, why you can't. It's like with the business plan, you can't dictate every single move. You have to be ready for all the changes that could occur. And so there will be a problem that will present itself that you didn't plan on. And it could be the loss of a big customer. It could be a natural disaster that came through, and it's going to put stresses on the business that you didn't plan on. And how you handle that and your partner handles that is critical. And that's when a lot of people run into problems.
What's the advice for when shit hits the fan? How are you a good partner? Like, give me some pointers here so people can just think, okay, I need to internalize this.
Okay, great question. I think, like, first of all, sound mind, right? Like, I am a person that doesn't raise their voice, and I really don't want a business partner that's going to raise their voice and, yell. So it's kind of like staying calm if I'm on a mountain, it's like, and there's a blizzard coming through and I got to hunker down. It's like, okay, stay calm. So first of all, stay calm. Okay. And then it comes to, it's communication and in problem solving in a different way. And so really it's like a lot of times when you're struggling with a business partner, you actually don't want to be around them at all. And that's probably the biggest problem is once you start not having fun in business or not agreeing with your business partner, then you just find yourself, I'm going to be over there, they're going to be over here, and we're going to talk less. When in fact, you ought to be talking more because the more distance you get, the more distance you get. And so I think it's like force that communication and address it as soon as you see it. I can tell that we know that there's some issues here, and I want to get ahead of it before it gets much worse, and then just really talking through the issues. So it's taking it head on, because if your partnership falls apart, then your business falls apart. And if your business falls apart, it impacts a lot more people than just you and your partner. And so that's the part also where it's like, okay, let's back up as partners and say, we have a lot riding on this. We have all these employees, we have all these customers, we have all these successes. So let's not let our egos get in the way. Let's not let our emotions or this personal thing that I'm going through right now impact how we are both addressing this thing, because we have created this great entity that's working. So, or if it, or we had planned on, we're still on track to succeed. So let's work through that.
Have you ever found out that maybe somebody you've worked with and like working with, whatever, but they're just not a good partner, right? Like some people are good at their job, but they're not good at awkward conversations. So therefore they can't be good managers because they'll never be able to have those hard conversations. Are there people who are good at what they do, but maybe they're just not cut out? They don't have the skill set to be a good partner.
Yeah. That's something too. It's like if somebody doesn't have the experience that I bring to the table, which I'll be honest, a lot of my current business partners don't, right? So I do find myself doing some training, right? Like, okay, cool. All right. I have to, like, rather than start at this, high level of understanding, I have to back up a little bit and be like, okay, looking at this profit and loss, I just want to remind you that, what we're looking at, we're looking at the bottom line and trying to shave some stuff in the middle, and, and this is where our expenses are and revenue. And so just kind of like, I then am responsible for sharing a little bit more knowledge.
Can boyfriend, girlfriend, man, wife, partners, family, can they be good partners?
Nope.
Without?
Nope. Just kidding, but kind of not. So, okay. That's great. Cause that's another question we get a lot is like, how, should I partner with my family, my spouse, whatever. And so Andrea and I, we're pros at it by now. My wife and I are great business partners. We know our boundaries, but it has not been easy. And so high level, I mean, in one regard, I'm like, yes, please go start a business. Like, go start a business. But in however you got to get there with whatever partners you go, because I want people to experience this thing called entrepreneurship. Now, Andrea and I went through some really rough times. We're like, I mean, we're waking up and working all day together, living together, and all we do is talk shop and all that stuff. And so, I think it's okay to again. To partner with somebody in your family. But when you do that, you are opening yourself up to even a whole nother level of stress, a whole nother frequency of pain and suffering that you ain't never gonna experience if you don't do it. Because now all of a sudden, when something goes wrong, it's impacting. I mean, you might be getting a call from your father-in-law or your Uncle Jim, and like that, because now all of a sudden, like, it's a family business. All of a sudden, it's like, well, wait a minute, just because there's two people in a partnership here doesn't make you the owners of this. But, yeah, it's terrible and great at the same time. Like, sometimes, I mean, I work with, like right now, I am a partner with my brother-in-law, and let's see here, at Bohemia, and I have my brother and other brother-in-law work at Ecolips, and they've got equity in that. And so there is some additional strain there. I think one thing that I could clearly say is like, when it comes to those relationships, I'm like, business is business, and we're going to do what is right for the business, and family time is family time. As much as I also say, that it's all one and we're all connected, but I make business decisions that will benefit the business, because if the business is not there, then we don't put food on the table for the family. So it's like, and this is that whole topic, which is in that hat somewhere, about putting your business first and your family second, and all the fun things to go along with that. But yeah, I think that partnerships can be any form of people, and they could be family. Just know that it's gonna add additional challenges.
All right, here's one. Say you are in a board presentation or a pitch meeting, and your partner's got the floor, and the slides don't look right. Maybe there are exaggerations. Maybe things aren't described the right way. Your partner has a good intent, wants to grow the business, but is starting to fudge things a little bit. What do you do in that situation?
First of all, and I'm not a micromanager or a control freak, but again, I try to, philosophically in business, I try to blame, and even with partners, I try to blame the system and not the person. And so I'm like, how did we get to that point in the first place? That's good. If we end up there, I'll we'll talk about it afterwards. We'll try to fix it and try to get ahead of it. But I try to either have one touch point in advance to know exactly how we're communicating what we're doing and what we need, what our needs are, whatever's happening in that meeting. But I'd put it on myself, and I'd be like, okay, I didn't do a good enough job of creating the platform and the system and the infrastructure to get the result that I think our organization needs at that moment.
That's good. Okay, here's another one.
Bring it.
Say things are growing and the original partner deal kind of worked, but you feel some push and pull, and one or everybody involved, or maybe a couple people, feel like it's time to restructure the deal because it's kind of working this way. And I don't know if that means changing points or whatever, but maybe there's resentment. What do you do when a partnership gets to that point?
Well, I think, part of the business is serving the owners and the owner group. And if there is a change that is needed, then I think you got to put it out there. And I think it's totally cool for that partnership to evolve, and it should evolve. I mean, it should. And so it's okay. It's okay to say, you know what, it was great to get us started, and now we're here. If it's a money thing or a time thing, or if it's just a dynamic thing that's not working. But again, it's just all about communication. My grandpa Shriver used to send me letters, and he had a stamp, and he would be like, on the back of every letter it said, communicate or deteriorate.
Wow. And
so that is a mantra that I live by. And it's like, man, you don't get anywhere by not communicating. So if things are going awkward, going wrong, you just got to address it.
Do some partnerships maybe go astray because they're trying too hard to be friends, and there's so much effort into like this happy on and off the clock, and maybe it should just be more delineated? I mean, can people go wrong there trying to become friends with partners?
Well, I would say that the biggest issue would be like worrying about that too much and trying to be too nice, when in fact you should be more truthful, and just worrying about hurting somebody's feelings. Like that is something that will get in the way of your success. If you're always worried about hurting somebody's feelings, then you're not going to speak your truth, and then you're going to get further and further distanced from what the reality is of what's occurring. And so, I think that's again why you want people with a little bit of it's not all going to be airy fairy, rainbow unicorns, and you're going to need people that can handle that. I mean, the roof gets torn off in a derecho and everything gets soaked who's there mopping it up, and how are you going to bail yourself out of that?
Partners versus mentors.
Mm-hmm.
The similarities and differences, what should be known and understood there?
Yeah. So I believe in mentors, and I believe that, you should have them. Okay, here's an interesting thing. I don't think I would want a partner that is a banker or an attorney or an accountant. I appreciate what they do, but I have never really met one that understood entrepreneurship. I love my bankers, attorneys, and accountants, but I don't want them making, real business decisions that, with me. I think we would be limiting the potential of the business. They're pretty risk averse, jobs, occupations. So, and mentors, again, also on the banker, lawyer, attorney, I think we know who you are talking to when you're getting the advice you're getting. And so, first of all, if you're going to have one mentor, have 5, because you don't really, again, this person is giving you advice from their experience base, and it might not be the right advice. It's like, it might not, it's a perspective. It's a singular perspective, but it might not be the right one. And having something to compare it to is great. And it's, mentors, absolutely. Mentors as partners. Sure, man. I think we build our network up and, use the tools that we have. And sometimes people can be, like really good assets in, it's like when I'm working on a new business concept, it's like, who would want to be a part of this from a partner standpoint, potentially. And then who's going to want to be a part of it from a mentor standpoint, or who can I leverage in my network? And so, and I think that's where, your team, this is like building your team, whether they're business partners. And this kind of goes along to what we started out with, talking about all of the people involved in the chain, but like business partners, if they're not equity holders and there's still people that are active in the business, putting that team together is crucial. And again, something I wasn't good at 20 years ago, and I'm really good at it now. And that's what allows me to have these 5 businesses, and putting a team together and really giving them the authority to think of themselves as a partner.
I wonder if that's a skill set that some people don't know that they're resisting. To know when you need a partner for more than just money, to know, as an entrepreneur, I'm going to do it all myself. Like, really, you need other people for these other things. Does it take a while to kind of develop that?
Yeah, yes. And I think when you run into some roadblocks, enough, and you're just like, man, it would be great to, have somebody else to lean on during this time. But I think a lot of it too is like a lot of entrepreneurs start out as the technician, as the person doing all the work. And it's like how, it's like the guy that won't stop at the gas station and ask for directions, even though they know they're lost and they have no idea where they're at. And it's the same kind of thing where you're like, this person is just busy doing their thing, and they don't really, and this is the difference between like, having a job that you've created for yourself and having a business. And if you want to scale and work yourself out of a job, which is my goal every single day, is then you have to invite other people to the table. You have to have some sort of other maybe not equity partners, but other people on your team.
Wow. That sounds like experience talking there. I can see it in your face. You've had a lot of different situations and partnership shapes, and
tried it all different ways. I think I think I need to bring some examples back to the table, and I'll think about that for future episodes. But just high level strategy, man. Partners, I love them. I love my partners, and then sometimes I hate them, and they're stressful, but just like we problem solve our way to success in the businesses. We got to problem solve our way through these relationships and ultimately get to the finish line. And the real thing too is like when you start out, you got cash in the bank and you got a business plan, and it's like that's the fun part. But when you run out of money, and then it's like, now what? Mm-hmm. You know, or some catastrophic thing happens, then you really, somebody asked me, somebody was like, they asked me if Eric Engelman was a good business partner. Like right after we started the Olympic, and we founded the Olympic, 10,000 square foot venue, launched it in March of last year when the pandemic happened. And he's so well known in the community, and it's like, we're perfect partnership. I mean, if anybody's going to make this thing succeed, it's going to be Steve Shriver and Eric Engelman. And like a month into it, we still had, you know, cash in the bank. We weren't sure what the, you know, landscape of COVID was going to play into this, or how it was all going to happen. And somebody asked me like, how's he as a business partner? And I'm like, I mean, I love talking to him. Dude is really, really smart, but I won't know how good he is as a business partner until we run out of money. And then we've had some challenges through this time, obviously. And, as it turns out, he's a pretty freaking good business partner. You know, he's got good, he knows how to solve problems. And that's like number one attribute for me. Yeah.
What's the hardest thing to talk to a partner about? I mean, you've already said like communication is key. You got to have those critical conversations, but it's not always easy, right? Like what's the hardest of the hard stuff when dealing with partners?
When I want to quit, I got done with a couple of businesses and I wanted out. And I think that's a really tough conversation. It's like, it's bigger than just, quitting a job. This is like, I want to get out of this somehow. And I'm not sure how, because we might not have addressed that because I wasn't smart at that time and smart enough to get a buy-sell agreement into the operating agreement. But I think wanting to leave a company that you founded is, or that you're a partner and you have responsibilities in is a really tough conversation. And I've done it. And my philosophy is, I mean, if I'm the one leaving, I'm going to be a lot less greedy about what I leave with, because I feel bad for the partnership. And I think it's just fair. It's like, okay, I'm bailing on you. So however we can make this work, so I think it's like, if you are at fault, or it's your life that is potentially negatively impacting the business and you have to leave, or you just need to leave for whatever reason, I think it's fair to make some accommodations to your business partner and say, rather than just being like, nope, I want half of this right now, and I'm out, But again, if you get the right buy-sell agreement in there, it's already there, and then you just have to read the paper and be like, okay, this is what we signed, and this is how it goes. So I think that's a tough one. And then I've taken long hiatuses too, and those are tough to be like, yeah, I'm gonna be gone for like 3 months. I got to clear my head, and those are somewhat tough conversations.
I bet.
Yeah, losing money is terrible, but there are points. Cash flow issues are, where's this money going to come from to bridge the gap between here and there? And those are sometimes tough conversations as well. Firing people that, you don't want to work there, but the partner might like them.
Ooh.
Yeah. Or it might be their kid that works for you, and you don't think they're bringing enough to the table. Those are terrible conversations. I mean, or a partner's spouse is, meddling too much. That's really uncomfortable.
I was going to ask you if there are any shapes of partnerships that you've kind of learned to just avoid because of either getting doubled up on, or the right relationship over there, and then I'll be the odd man out, or anything like that to be aware of.
Yeah. I mean, I think it's just, again, once you get into this partnership, you're opening yourself up to the scope of whatever's going on in that person's life too, and however they function. So I have had husband-wife partners who expected to be like dual partner, still maybe just, one share, but two people. And that could be a little bit much. So you got to be careful about, and then again, you just want to have the right structure in place to make sure that you're productive and everybody's getting along. And, so it's, this is great, man. But again, start those businesses up, man. Try it out. You'll figure out for yourself that some partners are assets and some partners are assholes, and sometimes they're both, and sometimes I'm the asshole. Sorry, business partner friends.
But you're saying don't not take the step for partnership bad story reasons or anything.
Yeah, just know that that's a real possibility. That's it.
Yeah.
So let's wrap it up. Steve Shriver Podcast. My email is steve@steveshriverpodcast.com.
So if you have questions or topics, anything you want us to talk about on the show, put in the hat. Shoot it his way.
Yeah. So thank you again for taking the time to do this episode. Thank you, Joe Coffee.
You bet.
And have a great week. Let's dream up some big business stuff. Start small, think big.
Right on. See ya. The Steve Shriver Show is brought to you by EcoLips, the original organic lip balm. Use the promo code podcast20 for 20% off your first order on ecolips.com. Keep up with the show at steveshriverpodcast.com and the Steve Shriver Podcast on Facebook.